Hey there, Writer Rebels. Today I'm here with a tip that I can't believe I haven't told you before now. Stay tuned for the Starbucks hack. Hey everyone, it's me, Scarlett, young adult author, YouTuber, and storyteller, and I am here today to talk to you about the Starbucks hack. It is something that when I released my book Sleepless on May 27th, my young adult paranormal, I was talking about one of my character names and this hack on TikTok and on my Instagram stories, just as a promotional thing. I did some interesting facts about the characters and all that kind of fun stuff, and people were really interested in this trick. So I figured it would actually make a really good video. It'll be a short one because it's a quick tip, but hey, it helps anybody out, great. But before we get into that, I just wanted to say thank you to all of my subscribers who keep coming back. And if you are not a subscriber, it's very easy to do so. Just make sure you're hitting that subscription bar and the notification bell below this video. If you're hanging out below the video, you can also give it a thumbs up to let YouTube know this is something worth watching, whether you're a subscriber or not. All of these interactions definitely help my channel and allow me to put out more content for you. So if you would like to support me, those are easy, free ways to do it. Anyhow, so we are going to talk about the Starbucks hack, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a Starbucks. It could be anywhere that's going to take your name for an order. So basically, what's the story behind this? I have a character in here named Berkeley. She is the main character of my story. It's not a super unusual name, but it's not something that you hear very often. I was struggling whether or not this was a name that I wanted to use. So I used to write at Starbucks all the time, and I went up to the counter and I decided to use the name Berkeley instead of my own name on my coffee. So this worked out for various different reasons. Number one, it forced me to say it out loud. How did it sound in my head when I spoke those words? What did it feel like to me? Did I like it? Did I like how it sounded? If I didn't, and I have had character names where I've done this with, that I don't like it, and I scratch the name right away. Secondly, the person behind the counter is going to have to react to that name. They're going to have to write it on my cup. How do they spell it? If you'll notice, the name Berkeley in this book is spelled B-E-R-K-L-E-Y. Typically, like the university, you will see Berkeley, or Berkeley, California, B-E-R-K-E-L-E-Y. Well, this is how they were spelling it at Starbucks, because they did use this for a couple of weeks. So I wanted to make sure it was going to be really easy for people to write it down. And I actually just really liked the spelling, so I went with that. Secondly, this doesn't always happen, but the person taking the order found the name to be very interesting because it wasn't something that they'd heard very often, and actually complimented me on my very fun and unusual name, even though it really wasn't mine. The other part about that is after your order is finished, somebody is going to have to read that name and call it aloud. So are they being able to read the name that's written? Sometimes I understand the spelling gets completely botched and it's just completely awful and nobody can read it. But in most cases, somebody should be able to read that and say that out loud. How does it sound to you? Do you like the sound of it? Are they able to read it? Because you get into situations where you have readers who are going to read these names, and how are they going to pronounce them? I've had more than one occasion where I've read a book and they've had a character spelling of a name, and the way I've heard it in my head and read it is not how the author intended that name to be said or how it's supposed to be pronounced. And sometimes it's a little bit frustrating. So if you want to make it easier on your reader, then you can see whether or not people know how to pronounce this name properly. A bonus thing for this is if you are trying to pick pen names. This is an excellent tip if you're trying to pick a pen name, because not only do you get the benefits of all of those things, you really get to see what it's like to respond to that. If you ever go to a signing or a convention or anything at all, you are going to be in a situation where people are going to be calling you by that name. If you are doing a pen name that's based on your real name, so you're using the same first name and just changing the last name or something like that, or an offshoot of like a nickname. So if your name is Rebecca and you're going by Becky, it might not be much of a stretch. However, if you are now going by Josephine, it's going to be very different. So by ordering your coffee this way, you can get used to people calling you Josephine, and when you go to conventions and stuff, how is that going to feel when fans or other authors or anybody else calls you by that name? Are you comfortable with that? Are you going to respond to that? Or are you going to be the person standing in the corner waiting for a caramel macchiato for an hour because they've called your name and you totally missed it? So that's my Starbucks hack. It's very simple, but it works. It's a good way to test out names when you aren't sure about them. Some characters for me come straight into my head. They automatically have a name, such as if you've read my book Mercury Rises, there's a character in there named Christoph. the first scene that Kristoff is in, immediately I pictured it in my head. I knew exactly what he was wearing, exactly what he looked like, and what his name was. It just came to me. There's a lot of times that I do struggle with, especially main characters or side characters, love interests. I always struggle with love interests where I'm not really sure what I want to name them. So by doing this, it allows you to really test that out without having written half of a book and then having to go back and change it. So hopefully you enjoyed that. And if you did, like I said, make sure you're giving a thumbs up underneath this video so YouTube knows it's something to watch, and keep watching for my content on my channel. You may notice that I'm looking a little kind of different today. I did do a Sabrina themed photo shoot for my book Sleepless because it does have that kind of high school witchy sort of thing to it. So if you are interested in that, I will have some footage on my vlog that will come later this month. And if not, and you just want to hang around for the writing videos, I'm here for those too. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next week.